So I was watching.
So, motherfucker, yo.
You'll figure it out eventually.
I'll get there one day.
Season 3? Yeah.
Season 3, yeah.
We got time to figure it out.
So you really into? Welcome back to the Citywide Show. Today we have Sergei Trudnowski.
What's up?
I got Sean over here and Carl
That's
over
me.
there. And Serge was actually our first guest to text us a list of demands.
Yeah.
So we got you a couple of your demands.
Militano hooked us up.
Yeah.
Whole Foods
What's up,
plug.
man?
Yeah. Pellegrino.
Sparkling water.
Only the
I
finest.
see you brought your own.
Yeah,
Actually,
I wasn't sure if you were gonna like.
Nah,
Oh,
we got
no,
them.
we got
Get
it.
my
We
list.
got
You know?
Season 2's budget's a little bit bigger.
Yeah, we got the
That's what's up.
sponsors rolling in.
Yeah.
So
Thank you very much. That's
some
cool.
dried
Yeah.
fruit,
Yeah,
dried
man.
Pumpkin
mangoes.
pie is a
Appreciate it.
little out of
Yeah.
season, but we did what we could do.
You know, I mean, it's when you're a star and you gotta talk and do
Yeah,
interviews, you need that 50 Snickers and like whatever it is, you know,
Yeah.
whatever.
Whatever
You know?
gets you in the zone.
Yeah, yeah.
So you grew up in Reading, right?
Yeah, Reading.
So
Yeah.
how was growing up in Reading? What was that like?
It was cool, man. Like, before skating, I was really an athletic dude, you know? Like, I played baseball. I was like, I was just really athletic, but I really didn't have like a great family structure. Like, we had, I have one brother, 3 sisters, and my father really wasn't a part of our lives. So, I couldn't really make it to that baseball games, the normal things kids were doing. So, I remember going to junior high and I saw this kid skate by, and his name was Matt Carpenter, and he was part of it was called BORS, Brotherhood of Reading Skaters, which I didn't know at this time, which was the sickest crew in the world, and I fought so hard to get a part of this crew. But, so yeah, I saw him skate. He had like these baggy pants on, Chuck Taylors, and it was just like, whoa, like, he looks so different. That's what I want to do, you know? Like, I just knew it for it, like, just the way he was carving. I was just like, that's it.
Yeah.
And I went to school, and like, I was like, how am I gonna get a skateboard? And like, this dude was selling a Veriflex for $35, a whole complete. And I had a paper route, so I worked really hard, gave me $35 and had a Veriflex. And then it became my life. Like, it wasn't, it was really something that the lifestyle was like sucked into me, you know, right from the get. Like, right when I touched that skateboard, I was like, it just hit me, you know? And there wasn't many kids at my school skating, you know, back in the 80s, it wasn't like it is now. So, you know, getting that and skating, I skated to school every day, and they didn't want me to, but I was like, fuck it. And I'd leave an hour before school so I could session these curbs on the way to school, you know?
Yeah.
And I'd come to school bloody and like ripped apart, and like dudes were like, what? Like they couldn't get it because like they thought I had this like life of being this baseball player, and now I just totally did this flip, and I'm like this punk rock skater, and dudes just couldn't really understand it. Like, just like, what are you're ruining your life, you know? And I'm like, nah, you don't even know. I've just found my life, you know?
Yeah.
But people couldn't understand that. And, you know, with skating, you end up meeting, like, Reading, Lancaster, Allentown.
Yeah, there's all these little pockets right around there.
No
Yeah.
doubt.
Kind of
man.
connects you to your surrounding
Yeah.
environment. Yeah.
And then, like, you would meet these kids. You might not even speak all day, but the session was the raddest session, and you automatically became best friends. Like, you left, you're like, let me have your number, and you would exchange numbers and be best friends, you know?
Landlines back then, too.
Yeah. Pre-cell phone era.
So how'd you find like other skaters after you, like, got
Yeah.
into skateboarding?
So I was always a really motivated kid, you know, like especially with skateboarding. And since my family life wasn't like the best, it was like something I could do without a coach,
Yeah.
you know, it was just me, you know? So I lived Reading. I didn't live downtown Reading. I lived like right outside of Reading, but I could skate to Reading. So I just would leave my house and go skate for, I don't know, 14 hours a day. And there was a couple kids in my school that were BMXers that like kind of were like, well, and they kind of changed over to skating. And so we had this little crew. It was like me, this kid Ovid. So my name was Sergei and Ovid. So every time we met girls, we'd be like, Sergio, and they were like, what? Where are you dudes from?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, yeah, we just had a little crew, and then we had our Reading crew that grew up at downtown, and every chance we could, we skated down to downtown. And the way I skated here and met Ricky and Matt is the way I grew up skating. Like, I left my house, didn't take any transportation, I was before I could drive, and I skated. And on the way in downtown, we had a route,
Yeah,
and I would leave, and we would go far away just to hit this little hip. And it wasn't like we would hit it and session it. We would hit it and keep going. If you missed your trick, you kept going because you knew there was a guardrail a little bit up that you were going to rail slide next, And I just pictured street skating to be that way. It wasn't anything. It was really looking at magazines and envisioning how I thought street skating was supposed to be,
Yeah.
And it wasn't like that in the West Coast, and I didn't know that. And in San Francisco it is, but I didn't know dudes were driving to places and getting out. I had no clue. I thought everyone walked out their house and skated.
From spot to spot.
Yeah, and a lot, me and Ricky talked about the other night, a lot comes from that, not one of Nodis's videos, he comes out his house and skates. I think it's Wheels of Fire. Me and Rick always, we took a lot of our stuff. Street skating really evolved from Gons, but a lot of our street skating really evolved from Nodis, And I never noticed it or realized it until Mike Vallely had said something to me about it. He said the way he skated down the streets in Philly reminded him of skating with Nodis a long time ago, and it just made me, I was just like, whoa. That's so rad, he's right,
Yeah.
And I'm like, but Nodis was looking at everything as a wave, you know what I mean? Because he was a surfer and hitting different things. Yeah, and the way we did it, it wasn't a wave, it was we had this amazing city that we saw as this skate park, But that's later, and then me starting out in Reading, so we would, I'd get a couple dudes from where I was at, we would skate downtown and seriously skate all day long, hit every spot possible, and Reading was hood at the time too.
Yeah.
All the dudes I skated with in Reading, they were all different ethnic, brothers and Latino dudes. So we had a good mix of dudes, but it didn't really matter because we were on skateboards, and it wasn't it didn't fit in, yeah. But we had this one spot. It's so rad. It was a park. It had pyramids in it. And we used to do early grabs over it, but when we started doing ollies and grabbing, it was the ultimate thing, man. It was the first place I took anybody who came to Reading. And it wasn't many, but we usually meet them at Magic and then bring them in the city, So we had a nice little crew. And a lot of those dudes still skate. Like Billy, he owns a company called Strength Skateboards. That's my friend Billy. I grew up with him. Yeah. We had a nice crew there, man, and we street skated hard. And everyone had their own special thing. One dude, Pedro, could ollie this high, it's funny. It's so, ironic. It's just it's how you would picture it to be, one dude, every dude had, a specialty,
Whatever.
I already had that mind frame skating in Reading, so when to come here and when I met Ricky and Matt, we never mentioned it, but we just clicked on it, And, but Reading was rad, man. Great skaters came from Reading. Magic Skate Park. One of the best, I wish it was still around. Unfortunately it's not. But, amazing place, just cruising through it. And
were there any videos that you and your friends got your hands on back then that kind of just sparked you or anything?
I don't think, videos, I think it's weird because all the kids I grew up skating with kind of were poor. We all didn't have the access to VCRs and videos, so that was less of an influence. It was more magazines, really, and getting them. And I think that's what the East Coast got the benefit from, because when you look at a magazine, you're only seeing one frame of how this person's doing something. So you had to imagine, how did he do this? How did he get here? How is he in this position at this point? So a lot of different styles came from that. I feel like the East Coast is this one big area of just crazy different styles, you know, like ways of doing things and even calling tricks. Like, you know, 180 no complies, 43. Yeah, 43s. Yeah. Or, you know, it's just like we had this kind of own little world, you know. But, of course, there was videos. I mean, always, I remember going, the only place I got the Plan B video, first one, was Fairman's, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And I remember calling and be like, yeah, we got in. And I was like, yo, we got to find a ride down there, you know?
I'm sure those were flying up.
Yeah. And that's, I'm like,
wow.
put it aside. Like, we can. I'm like,
yeah,
like, you know, I gotta get that. So the Boers were these people, the older skate crew from Reading, Brotherhood of Reading Skaters, and that's the guys I looked up to at first. And they, to me, were pros. Like, I didn't really, you know, like, I understood what a pro was with a board, but it didn't matter to me because these were the dudes that were, like, good and above me, and where I was striving to be and get to without being paid or having a board, that was never important to me, you know? It's like, I want to be with these dudes. And, like, they had jean jackets with, you know, they ripped up. Oh, and it was so sick, dude. And, like, you know, they would come to Magic, and they would be, like, in their crew, and I'm just like, yo, like, them dudes is, like, I can't. Yeah. Oh, my gosh, And they skated at Magic, and, like, that was, luckily Magic was there, that skate park. They skated there, and I basically watched them and then started, when they weren't there, trying to do the shit they did. And I would look off their jeans and I would see like Fear and I'm like, what the fuck's Fear? And then I would like research and like, oh, it's a band? Oh my God. And then I would start
that's cool. Like,
learning stuff. And it was hard. You didn't have the internet, you know, so you had to like, like I would go to like these record stores and be like, do you have Fear? And the guy's like, oh yeah, I might have 7. And then I'd find that 7-inch and be like, look off the back and be like, Minor Threat, who's that? You know, and like, you know, just, I always would get music and look at it and read who they thanked. And then that would be the next albums I'm getting, you know?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's a cool way to do it.
Yeah.
I thought about that.
And even when Sienna got to an older age, you know, I have a 25-year-old daughter. I started giving her a little music, and I'm like, all right, that's it. Now you have to find on your own the shit you want to listen to, because I could give you all the cool shit, but that's not that's not fun, and that's not
shelf for anything.
I want you to find it, and because when you find it and you discover it, you might find something and say, Dad, listen to this, and I might not know about it, and I might like it. You know, your pops might be into it. So yeah, I was like, you gotta do this. And she did her own thing. She's like, what? Like, but she went in the other room, put it on the internet, and like found it easily. And I was like, look, I'm like, damn, that's not what I wanted you to do. But it's all you know. I mean, it's what are you gonna do?
But I think back then there's more value whenever you find anything, whether it's a band or a video.
Kind of hold on to it more.
Photo.
It requires more effort to get to the end
now
result.
it's just instant gratification.
Yeah.
You said you would have to call Fairman's and hope they have it.
No,
nowadays you know it's on YouTube.
That's a hell of a for us we had like, and gas was cheaper, but we putting our money together. We could probably make it to Fairman's, and if we get stuck on the way back, we could
just share
one copy, no doubt, one copy, and we'd like get other dudes' VCRs and record.
Oh, wow.
Like, I think my copy, like, I could barely see it, you know, but it didn't even matter, you know. It's just like it wasn't like today, like it needs to be in digital. Like I didn't care. It was like snow coming down. I'm like, oh wow, look at this, you know.
Yeah.
But I remember going to. So the dude that inspired me to skate, Matt Carpenter, I eventually became friends with. And he came to my house one day out of the blue. And he knocks on my door, and I'm just like, oh my God, Matt Carpenter's here. Like, oh my God, do I look good? Like, am I skating? You know, like, I bring my board, and he's like, what are you doing there? I'm like, whatever you're doing, you know? Like, he's like, we're going to skate to Jack Driver's house. And he was like the coolest dude ever. He was like the main dude, like, of the Boers, you know, like he was like in Thrashing that movie. Picture the like the daggers and like that was cool crew. That was it. Like that was almost to the T, you know. And he's like, I'm going to Jack's house and we're gonna go skate. And I'm just like, am I allowed? You know, he's like, I'm gonna bring you, you know. And so we skated all the way there. We skate to Jack's house and we get there and his room is exactly. I didn't expect it, but how I wanted my room afterwards, you know, it was like all dark. He spray painted all these bands on his wall, you know, Rat Bones, and
stoked.
we watched Future Primitive, and that was the first real skate video. And I was just like, well, we watched I think the part when they're flying through New York and doing all, and I was like, that's street skating. Like that stuck in my brain. Like flying down a road, screeching at people, scaring, and hitting stuff on the way. And I think that's really what created. I had that created like my thought process for skating. That video right then and there. And when I was skating with those guys that day, and it was like, I think that was my first time like I was really jacked and like
juiced,
and like it was almost skating with sponsor kids for the first time, and I could also hang a little bit with them, but they still all toyed me,
you gotta get jumped into the squad,
and I knew that, and I was cool with that. I'm like, I'll pay my dues, like I'm cool with it.
These are the same kids that when you were in school, you fucking saw them skating, and you were like, I want to be that crew.
And now I'm sitting in this room, and even though they're kind of toying on me and making jokes about me, I'm sitting in this dude's room. You know what I mean?
So you're like, I'm fucking here.
Yeah, like I'm here, so the door's open for me. Now, whether I become a part of this crew or fizzle off is gonna be what it's up to me. You know? Yeah. So I in those situations, I always keep my mouth shut and don't say much and just let them dudes do their shit. And they were joking on, making fun of me, whatever, and I'm cool with it. Like, and then we skated, and that's kind of started my relationship with those guys. But I would see them like every Friday night. I would skate to the mall. It was a haul, but there was all these ditches, and we had a route there. So after school, I'd be like, "Yo, mall time." We would all skate there, and so I'd see those dudes there, and they still would be like, "Yo," and I'm just like, damn, not there yet.
Not getting depth.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a board. So I can't wait to make my jacket. I had all his plans.
Damn.
And it was cool, man.
When did you start seeing stuff come out of Philly that kind of piqued your interest and
you know what?
Made you
like
kind of want to go there?
Nothing piqued my interest. Like I didn't see anything. Yeah, I think the only thing I saw was Roger doing a rail slide at Love.
Oh, wow.
This is
Trans World, maybe in, I don't know, 86, 85. I don't know when that picture was taken.
Is this the same Roger that like
Roger
shot?
Brown.
Yeah,
sorry. Roger Brown. I mean,
that's sick.
We look at him as a forefather of street skating in Philadelphia, There's other guys in that era, but Roger skated like, I found out he only skated the way we skated because he had no money for transportation, just like a lot of us. So, but he's like the forefather, and like, Ricky gives a lot of respect. So do I. I mean, he
comes up often.
Yeah,
he's the first person to skate Love, right?
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, that wasn't like when I first started coming down here too. Like, Love wasn't where we went. Like, Love was the last place we went. I went to Rat Curbs. I went to the Sundial Bank.
Yeah.
I stayed down that way. A lot, and then we started making our way, and we would end up at Love and not know what to do with it because the top ledges were so high. The bottom circle was like, we just didn't know what to do, it just was too big yet, it was just too much.
Yeah.
And it was still really hoodie in there. They had bushes that went around it. And when you were in there, you were in there, So
yeah, you're kind of entrapped.
Yeah, and it's never that I was scared, but we just didn't really know what to do with it. The ground was good, and then when flat ground started coming in, we started using it for that kind of, But kids always skated Love, but it didn't really become a hot spot till a little bit later,
Yeah. So what sparked the move to Philly then?
Being on the East Coast and skating, meeting kids, I traveled, I started driving. I bought a VW bus at 15,
Damn.
and drove it. I didn't have a license, but I was like,
even better.
I'm like, yo, I can fit 40 dudes in here. Let's go. And I'd round up everyone from Reading, and we would drive up to New York or Philly, And I'd start coming down to Philly on weekends because I'd be going to school. And, and then we started skating down here. And then just coming to a bigger city, it's just, there's so much more, I already knew what Reading had and what it was there, but this was like this whole new world. And I haven't even met, Ricky and all these guys yet. It's just my crew coming here and skating around, finding the spots we could find, and I mean, I was just drawn to like it was grimy still, like it was.
Well, it still is.
It is, but I mean, Chestnut Street.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it used to be.
I can only imagine.
Cutty as like you would come off Broad and go down Chestnut Street. When we would skate down there, dudes would get popped going down. Like it was hoodie, man. I'm talking about like
years.
I feel like
this is man, early '90s, like 91 till maybe I don't even know 98.
Wow.
No, it's 97 or something. Like it was like it wasn't like it is now. Like
Now it's like a mall.
yeah,
Market Street's kind of becoming that way.
yeah,
seriously.
yeah. And you know, with you would hear our wheels and dudes would turn, and there was always the last. Like we'd skate fast, and there was always a dude that couldn't keep up, and he was always the dude that got whooped. You know?
Of
like,
course. He's
we'd
a
make
target.
we'd make it back somewhere, and we're like, "Yo, where's this dude?" And he'd come back with a bloody eye. And we're like, "What happened?" He's like, "You didn't see the dude hit me with a beer bottle." You know, we're
Holy
like, "What?"
shit.
Like, so. But I think I always knew I was gonna leave that area. Didn't know where.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, in '91. Me and my friend took a Greyhound bus to San Francisco. I had met Sean Sheffy at a demo. Yeah, he came to Magic Park and did a demo. And I met him, and you know that was right at the time like Magic. I was skating really well, and like you know during a demo, he's like, "Yo, I want you to skate while we're skating," like because that park, if you didn't skate it all the time, it was rough as hell, and it was hard to skate. You know, so I was one of those. When you do a demo, the park kid that tries to outdo everyone. I wasn't trying to outdo those. I wasn't trying to outdo them, but I was trying to like just showcase like what we could do. You know?
Yeah.
So Sean was like, "That's the first time too, brand new. He did a late shove it.
Oh shit.
90. Wow. Like this is 90. This is I guess This is could it be 9? I guess it was in a 1990. It was either 1991. But, so I had learned that trick right away, you know? And nobody was doing it. And I remember coming down to Love and doing it off one of the lower left. And everyone's like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like."
They're pretty crazy looking to see for the first time.
Yeah. And then I also learned them 180 and then do it, you know, like big.
Like a front spin. Yeah.
So I had that in my bag. So, Sean's like, "Come out and visit me. I live in San Diego." I'm like, "Bet." So
San Diego or San Francisco?
He lived in San Diego.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'll get to that. So I'm like, "All right." So I call him up. I'm like, "Yo, something happened. He was going away." So I'm like, "All right, I can't go to San Diego. What am I going to do?" And then I was with this 15-year-old kid named Greg, who was like my right-hand man at the time. And we're like, "Where can we go?" And we're like, "I guess we got to go to SF." Like, we didn't really know SF was like popping. And we're like,
the spot.
I guess SF. And we take the Greyhound, and I'm 17, and he's 15.
How long is that trip?
It was like 3.5 days of like hell, you know?
Oh my god.
I mean,
I took the
I
bus
don't
to
even
Pittsburgh,
know
and that's
how we didn't get arrested for like being runaways. We were both so young, you know what I mean?
That's
Like,
crazy.
I just had a big bag, and I know what like I'm like, "Mom, yeah, we got a place to stay." We didn't know where we were gonna stay.
Holy shit.
So we
Did
make
you
it
do this
across.
over the summer or something?
Yeah,
or?
we did in the summer. Yeah, we make it across, and we get to SF, and then we realize it's like this great place, you know? And we don't even know about EMB yet. I mean, I know about it, but we didn't go down there. We skated like the library. I think we skated these little curves, and I went to Fort Miley, and we didn't have a place to stay the first night, but we didn't care. And then I remember going down to EMB, and then, you know, they kind of started fucking with me at first. Like, Kelch came up to me. It was like, you know, and you know, he's
it was like par for the course back then.
Yeah,
let
let me check out your board.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. You know, it was like the beginning of their days of fucking with dudes.
Yeah, they're running shit down there.
And it's when people were coming. So it was like, so I came, and, you know, Kelch was like, "Let me see your board." I'm like, "Nah, man." Like, yeah.
Like, drill.
Yeah, like, nah. And he's like, "Oh, come on, man, I just want to ride it." And I'm like, "No," and that dude Wing Ding, whatever, I forget his name. I think his nickname was Wing Ding, but he was a sick skater. But he came, and he's like, "Yo, let me check your board." I'm like, "Nah." So at first they were kind of upset with me, but then they hated dudes that sat down. So I just skated the whole time. So eventually, it's not like I became boys with them, but they respected me, and I had the late shoving in my pocket. You know what I mean?
The hot trick.
And dudes you know, I could do them ollie up and do the big spin one, and like dudes from afar are like, who the fuck is this dude? But I didn't really meet anyone at that time to be like make friends with, but that was my first taste, you know, of seeing Mike Carroll, Henry Sanchez, like
you're there during like
at
peak
at
time,
the peak,
like,
you know. And I
All
was
that
so
shit's
scared to
going
sit down
on.
and watch them dudes because I just knew that's not what you. I hated when dudes came to love and just sat and watched. You know,
you're there
like
to skate. You
I'm
might
a
as well
skate, no
yeah.
doubt. No matter what
That's
skill
any
set
spot,
you are.
Any spot. I hate it when people say,
Yeah.
You're there to
They
skate.
go to their phone,
Otherwise,
it's
you're
like-
Yeah.
"Why are you there?
yeah.
Yeah.
You might as well stay
Wi-Fi's better at
inside.
home." So
Yeah.
do whatever.
Like really.
Did you guys ever figure out a place to stay, or were you just like?
We got this like crazy like hooker room like where people take dudes like your dudes take ladies to bang like, and we rented it out. It was like maybe $10 a night.
Holy
Yeah,
shit.
and
It's not
I slept on
happening
the
anymore.
floor. It was ill.
Yeah.
Like if I would never have like I would never have slept nowadays. Like,
Yeah,
but
you
we
know
did it, and
better.
I didn't even think about it. I was like,
Yeah.
yo, it has a roof. We're good.
That's pretty
You know?
sick. $10 a night.
Yeah.
Even then, that's
Dude. It was.
really cheap.
It was.
That's crazy.
It was.
So did you ever really get into the Boars Crew?
Oh man. Yeah. Eventually, I did, which was
Green
like.
stripes.
Yeah. It was really skating Magic all the time, and Magic had a skate team too, so I was a part of the skate team.
For the
Yeah.
skate park. Sick.
It was Chad Kramer was a part of it too.
Yeah.
You know, there's a couple dudes. So they started seeing me skating all the time, and I skated with them on the streets a couple times. And Matt Carpenter, the dude that kind of took me there, was kind of like he always had this thing like for me. I think he saw something in me and wanted to bring it out. And by bringing me around those guys, you know, he knew it would come out. You know, it'd push me. You know, so I just kept skating, and they kept seeing me. And you know, I slowly started talking to them, especially when I learned the bands that were on their jeans. I could be like,
Yeah,
minus
yeah.
threat this. You know, I had that lingo. I had like, you know, I knew.
Yeah, you know what's
I
going
had
on.
I had saw Another State of Mind at that time, which is like this rad like documentary.
Another State of Mind is the true story of a group of young musicians who took off in a broken-down school bus for an incredible 10,000-mile journey through the underground.
I saw that, so I had shit to talk to them about. But I remember so Magic had a pool, and they call it the Kink Sink, and it was really like it was crazy. Like it had like the walls were like one
Straight
wall
invert.
was steep and
Yeah.
and the other wall was nice. And I remember skating with those guys, and I think Jack was there, and they all were there, and they just were like, Serge, you know what? I think you're part of the Boars now. And I'm like,
Damn.
what? And they're like, yeah, you're definitely down. You're Boars. And I'm like, yeah, man. And I was with my other friend Eric.
Trying to keep it all together.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
Yeah. I was like, I'm like, that's cool, man. All right.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
You know,
But
but
inside,
inside, I was like,
Sick.
yeah, I can't believe it. And like my friend Eric, who skated with me, who wanted to be down, and like he's standing there like, and they're like, I guess you are too, you know.
And
but
the sympathy. Well,
yeah,
it's still better
but
than nothing.
no doubt. And he kind of felt that, but he's a little salty. But that night, I'm like, yo, I'm going to the mall. I got my jacket. I'm gonna make it. So I had this T-shirt. I wrote Boars. I wish I still had it. I did the Rat Bone sting. I did Boar like BOR with the things. I had it all done up. Put it on my jean jacket. I skated all the way to the mall that night. I'm like, this is so rad. Like, I'm finally a Boars. Like, I'm gonna hang with them, and we're gonna walk through the mall and just like, no one can touch us. Like, I get to the mall, and they're all there, and like, I'm like, yeah, guys, I'm here. You know, the new team member. And they're like, look at me, and then they look at my jacket, and they all just start laughing. You know, and I'm just like, oh my god. And they're like, look at his jacket. Oh, he did GJ. Like, just, you know, they were just, it's how you do young kids, you know?
Yeah, you gotta
like,
break
you
'em
bring
in,
them up,
yeah.
and then you bust them down, you
Yeah.
know? And like, they totally destroyed me. Like, I was like living, I was so excited, and they just shredded me. But it was good, man. Like, I think sometimes you need that shit, you know?
Yeah, it helps.
But, yeah, it does,
Okay.
man. I
yeah,
mean,
it helps you kind of figure it out down the.
yeah. Plus, life isn't like always gonna, you know, like the good things
Yeah, you gotta
can
learn
be
how to
better.
handle that shit.
Yeah, no
It's
doubt,
it's
man.
an important skill. It's
It
good
is
you had
important.
like the older dudes to kind of teach you the way. That
Yeah.
that's kind of a lost thing.
I agree. Because I think
Now
there's
it's
some young...
the internet. Now.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all Instagram or whatever.
You don't have the visual perspective of what's in front of me or what's in the magazine. telling
Yeah.
you what to wear.
Right.
Yeah.
Do.
Right.
Act.
So many like
It's
crazy
true.
shit that's like, dude, that never would have been cool.
Yeah.
That never would have been. It's helpful to like within reason, but it's also cool to have that like guiding influence because you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is like the preferred way or like the better way to go about doing this or whatever. I don't know.
It's hard nowadays. Like, I try to do... I don't want to be that old grandfather sitting at Municipal and be like, guys, you should do it, you know? Like,
yeah,
you
yeah,
did
there's
it.
a fine
But
line for sure.
there
I would
is.
fucking love if you did that.
Dudes,
though.
Yeah, that would
but
be-
that's cool. There is dudes that appreciate it, and like,
Yeah.
and I love those dudes that are like, what? I want
Get a
more.
whistle.
I want more.
Yeah.
You know, and there's dudes
Balance
that
play,
don't
you gotta-
take it that way. You know, I'm
Yeah.
like, you know, you're super rad, but when you do a front swing and start going backward, like, I think it would look better if you switch pushed. You know, and the dude, you know, he's like, I'm not doing that. Like, this is the way I do it. I'm like, I fully respect that, but it just would, in my eyes, look better.
I'm
you
just
know,
letting you
yeah.
know.
Perspectives
Yeah.
it's cool to get like a different perspective.
Yeah.
It's helpful to like
Yeah.
in life
what did
it's
Rick call
helpful to
that?
get that shit.
I call
Piss
it piss
peddling.
pedaling.
Yeah, that's the term. That's so
that was
good.
my term. Like, a lot of the terms, and not to say I was the guy had nicknames for everybody. Like, I was a nickname guy. Like, Rick has 1,000 nicknames. Like,
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
only imagine.
I used to hammer.
One day
him.
we'll hear all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we can get him
I'll-
on the show, that would be
One
a
of
fucking
one of his
godsend.
his famous ones is his middle name's Wayne, right? And
Exclusive.
we were on tour.
You're
Yeah.
first.
Ricky Wayne Oyola.
Ricky Wayne.
Yeah, and we were on tour, and that, you know, Wayne Bobbitt, the dude got his dill chopped off.
Oh
and like,
yeah, God.
yeah, like
Lorena Bobbitt.
yeah,
yeah, that whole
yeah,
shit.
exactly. So that was happening, and I started calling Rick Bobbitt, you know, because of Wayne Bobbitt, you know, and it just his
fucking
name
genius.
just became Bobbitt. We were just. That was my nickname style. Like, I'd find something, and it'd be totally random, but it'd be funny, you know? So we
Can't
started calling
imagine he
him
was
Bobbitt.
hyped on that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he was hyped.
You gotta
but
roll with the punches.
He
though.
knew
it's all
where
good
he
fun,
knew
yeah.
me, and he knew the more upset he got, the more I would get him. So
Yeah, you
he
had
knew
to
at
feel
that
the
time,
fire,
be like,
yeah.
all right, I'm Bobbitt, all right? But he was in the bathroom one time, and I'm like, yo, Bobbitt, what are you doing? Are you fixing your stitches? You know, because I, you know, just, and, you know, we all kind of laughed. And then after that, when he came out, I was like, yo, Stitch, let's get going. So then his new nickname was Stitch, you know? And even to this day, I'm like, yo, Stitch, what are you up to? Like, and I still call him Stitch, you know? And it's funny, like, when I hear other dudes in the city, like, yeah, I saw Stitch the other day. And I was like, it just makes me laugh, because I'm like,
Damn.
that nickname,
That's you.
like,
Stuck.
yeah, it's just
Oh,
funny.
yeah.
Like,
it's cool how
and
that
it-
works.
yeah, and the way Stitch came is like this whole, like,
Yeah, it's like
Fucking
6
sequence.
degrees
Yeah.
separation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to get you to talk shit.
Yeah.
But there wasn't one person Switch manga you ever liked.
Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, Mike Carroll does it beautifully.
Yeah.
I mean,
Thank you.
I can watch Mike Carroll do it. Yeah. And there's people, yeah, that do it.
Yeah, it was just like a funny nickname. You didn't like hate it. You were just like,
Nah.
yo, like this
Yeah,
just looks
I've heard it
better.
referred
Yeah.
to as that before. That's the
Yeah. But I think the way we looked at it, and tell me I'm wrong, like, when you're going down the road, and this is how we skated. So it wasn't Love Park and stuff. It's like when you're going down the road and you do a frontal 180, if you start piss pedaling, you know, down the road, to me, we were all just like,
Yeah.
no.
It's a little, yeah.
It has to be fluent and like
Yeah. that
look
makes
like
100%
you
sense.
like you're skateboarding. There's no way. You're just skating.
Yeah.
You know what I
You're doing
mean?
it the same, both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the way we looked at it. It wasn't like you couldn't go to Love and piss like it wasn't that. It was more about the streets, you know,
Yeah.
and how it looked going down the streets, and that's where it came from for us, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much at Love and wherever City Hall where we skated. It was really going down the roads, and because that consumed our day. Like the spots were just even Love was a spot on the way to wherever else we were going.
Yeah, it's
we
like
might
a
have stayed
beat.
there longer.
Yeah.
But we were always moving and
Yeah.
exploring. And really, like Rick always used to say it, and I say it, like using the city as our fucking skate park, you know?
Yeah.
Because we saw it as that.
It's there.
It is.
Yeah.
And for you guys, you'll never have the city the way we did. And I'm not,
Nah,
I feel
it's-
bad. No, I feel bad for everyone because we didn't get kicked out of places. And when we did, we were like, fuck you. And like they left. You know, Afro Banks,
Yeah.
we had all night, you know? Like
Fuck, that's
Love
hot.
Park, we kicked cops out. Like, there's times, I swear, it was packed and cops were walking through and we're like, yo, get the fuck out of the way, you know? Like, I mean, the city was ours. Like, it really was, you know? And that will never, ever happen again, and I understand. And I feel bad for skaters who haven't got it, who will never have that chance to live that.
Yeah.
But
It's changed so much
Yeah.
that like went from like anarchy to being like controlled almost, and like that you'll never get the same.
Yeah.
It's definitely kind of mellowed out a little bit, for better or for worse. In terms of skating, for worse. But,
yeah.
yeah.
I think like with anything like city or government, and not that they were scared of skating, but it was so different, and
yeah.
they didn't have a control on it. You know what I mean? So they always wanted to find a control, and even when they tried to about banning love and whatever,
Yeah.
when they finally built that skate park, they were like, we have control now, because now we can kick them out of here and say, go to this place. You know what I mean? And that saddens me. Like, that hurts me because, I don't know, skate parks are really cool, and I appreciate all of them, and it's amazing, but for me, there's nothing better than, like, pushing down the road with your friends and just, like, skating.
When did you pull the trigger and move to Philly?
That's, like, man, I guess there's a house up here on 12th and South that still has a 777 sticker from when we lived there. We
Damn.
put that there. It's still there to this day.
12th and
So
South.
it's over. It's still there. You gotta check it out in South Street. The Pittsburgh crew had moved into that house. Matt was going to Temple. I think he dropped out.
Matt
and moved,
Reason.
Yeah, Matt Reason. Moved into that house with John. There's all the Pittsburgh guys living in that house. I was coming down and staying for long periods of times at that house. So it's kind of like, I feel when I moved here, you know?
Yeah.
What age is this at? How old are you during this time period?
I would say,
Like tail end of high school or?
I'm out of high school at this time. It's
okay.
like Sienna was born, and I was probably 18 when I kind of was. No, actually, I was 17, 18 when I was like staying here most of the time. You know, that's probably like when I was staying here. That's when I really started staying here, and I was staying at that house, and there was a bunch of bedrooms, but I had this closet that fit like just one bed in it.
Yeah.
And I would just fit the bed in it, and I didn't need anything else, you know?
Yeah.
And I'll close the door.
Simple life.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like, I'd wake up at like 6 at night, because I had no clue, and they would forget about me, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
well, like, if there was a fire, I would have been dead.
Yeah,
Let's just
it's
say
like
that,
a-
you know? So I started staying in that closet, and that was really like when I started. And I always kind of had to go back and forth because of Sienna, you know, like
Yeah.
I wanted to be a father. I didn't have a father, and I really wanted to do a good job. But I also knew skateboarding like was this love, and like, you know, Holly and I, her mom, were like, you know, we had broken up at the time, but we were like, you know, we want to raise the daughter like Sienna as, you know, as best we can to like as we work together, but
Yeah.
we're not, you know. And I think it was really a big decision on both of us to do that
Yeah,
that
it's
way,
a lot
you know.
to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, shit, I'm a kid with
Yeah.
no experience, no training from a real father. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, but we kind of we did a good job, you know. Like when things happen, she'd be like, "This, what do you want to do?" You know, we discussed things, and we did a pretty good job, you know. But so that was when I first started really staying down here, and yeah, skating with Matt all the time, and of course I've met Ricky already, and SubZero was actually in Cherry Hill.
Oh wow!
And yeah,
It started off in South Jersey.
Yeah.
Oh okay.
And me, Ricky, and Matt got sponsored by SubZero in Cherry Hill. I think we were the only 3 guys at first.
Wow.
And then so we'd go out there, and I would be like, they gave us $100 a month credit, which is cool.
towards
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. Which back then was dope. You
Yeah,
know?
that's pretty-
But we rigged it. Like I'd be like they'd be like, well, you owe us for 3 months now, and I'm like, come on. Excuse me, can I just get another board? Like, and they were always like pretty cool, man. Like, give it to us, you know. They
Yeah.
knew, and then they split. Shane and Adam. Adam stayed in Cherry Hill, and he did Failure, and then Shane came to South Street with SubZero. And then that was like our home base, and like it was like the best thing in the world. We were on South Street, you know, like at that age on South Street, SubZero skate shop. There's never been a skate shop yet. Well, Spike's was right around the corner, but yeah, that was after Spike. Like it was just, oh man, like ours, and it was so cool, man. Like we always ended up meeting at SubZero, no matter where we lived.
Yeah, the shop is a meetup spot.
That was that's always Rick's like, we got a meetup spot, you know, like he always had to have the list of what, like, all right, we'll meet here, we'll go, you know, like he's a dude that has lists, you know. He'd always be writing on paper and be on the phone. Like I'd go to his house and be like at 12 in the afternoon, and he'd be on the phone, and I'm like, let's go skate. They'd be like, it'd be 6 o'clock. He's like, okay, see you later. And it'd be like 16 dudes he's talked to, and he hang up the phone. But
damn, squad deep.
Yeah, dude. But the whole time he was never talking about what he was doing. It was like, Serge did this. Philadelphia's so great. Philadelphia got this. We got this. We're doing, you know. And and I was, like I said earlier, it's like we just wanted everyone to come and enjoy what we had here. We thought it was something special.
Yeah, you guys kind of like. It sounds like so when you came from Reading and then got involved with SubZero and everything, you guys kind of just immediately took on Philadelphia as your home base, and like you guys really, I mean, you're obviously responsible for what a lot of people know is,
thank you.
Philadelphia skateboarding. I mean, that's just the way it is. That's like
facts.
My first like interpretation of it, or what I first saw of like Philly skating.
100%.
That was the like so it's cool to like, I don't know, you guys owned it and you kind of created the style and you had your own. It's cool. It just was you could tell that you guys really gave a shit about where you were at and what was going on.
Repped it hard too.
Yeah.
I love seeing clips with Philly somewhere in it. Not so much like the spot, of course, you know it's Philly if you skated here. But apparel, like wearing a Philly shirt.
Well, we like, it wasn't like now, like everyone had Philly shirt. You know, you had to search for those Philly shirts. You know, like so when anyone got one, it was like we were all jealous. Like, where'd you get them? Like, I can't tell you. You know, and like whoever got the best one, you know, you wore it all the time. You know, like, and they were hard to get. Like, it's just weird that time. They just didn't have. They just weren't around. You know, at least a good looking one. You know, not. You know, we wore bigger shit back then, but something like, I don't know, like, it was decent looking, you know? There's a photo of Ricky recently, and he has a Philly shirt on. I'm like, I was like, motherfucker, I was probably jealous of you, and you know, because we, and then you would just break it out, too. You didn't let no one know. You just come skating, you're like, oh, where'd you get? And it's like, you know? The city came first, really, for all of us. I mean, it's funny, but it really came first. And that's what we promoted. And I think, a lot of it was because I felt like we all felt, and I think this city takes this identity on, is that we're always looked over, you know.
Even
in
like
sports,
a chip on its shoulder.
No doubt.
Philly has always got like it's either got something to prove, or it's like it definitely is like a, I don't know. You've got your like New York, L.A., Paris, Tokyo. You're like branded cities, but then Philly's got just as much to offer. But it gets overlooked. So but it carries that too. It seems to be like, I don't know if it's self-destructive or what, but it has.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
I don't know if it gives it character. For better or for worse. I don't know, but it's cool.
And really, in those times, like early '90s, even late '80s, Philly and Detroit were like one of the two worst cities. Like they were teetering, like, are they going to go under or are they going to rise, you know? And Detroit went under and Philadelphia rose. And I'm not saying because of skateboarding, but it was a lot of us at that time, there was a lot of magic happening under the scenes that people didn't know about, like even with graffiti and art and like all this stuff, culture that was working underneath this, like these layers that no one saw yet, you know? And it eventually busted out and people came, but like there was a lot going on, and I kind of knew one day it would. We were hoping, you know. We didn't know until we got someone to come, you know. And then people started staying, and it was like then it got to a point where everyone hated it because too many people came.
It gets blown out.
But I was always okay with it, you know.
The more people that come to a place, I feel like it's better at the end. It might be annoying for like skating, like there are more people trying to hit your spots or whatever, but the end of the day, I don't know, it's better people are taking advantage of it and using it and appreciating it than it is to...
What we wanted.
Yeah.
Like, we couldn't be mad at ourselves. It's what we wanted.
Yeah.
You know?
So with SubZero came the infamous SubZero video. So how did that come about?
Well, being in South Street, you know, we started at that point when SubZero came here. You know, I guess I hate to use FTC as an example, but you know, I've been SF, and I knew how FTC was like San Francisco's spot. You know, the shop. That was the shop where all the cool guys, pros went.
They put out like the finally in all their videos. They put out like the best skating in their city in that time period.
Yeah.
SubZero video is the same.
Yeah. So that was somewhat our template. I don't want to just say it's not the reason, but it kind of was the light bulb. It was the idea.
Yeah. It's like, oh, this is possible.
Yeah, it's crazy how possible and how many videos we sold without the internet. Like, dude, I got big checks. You know, we got paid for it. Yeah, like Shane.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, like SubZero like was a good sponsor. Like, first off, we got $100. We got paid $100. I think we got $100 in store credit.
Holy
you know.
Shit.
We added Fred to the team at this point. You know, so Fred was coming more. He was still a weekend warrior, but he would stay for a little longer periods. You know. I remember skating with Fred down the street for the first time. Like, I knew who he was from like the tracker. I think he had a tracker ad, and maybe.
Yeah.
And I didn't know I knew he was like this prodigy kid, but I didn't know his real ability. And we're going down the road, and we weren't even doing this stuff, but I think he did a switch, backslide and heel flip going down the road, you know? And maybe it was a little sloppy, but like people weren't even doing that on like, you know, like not, let alone going down the road, but at Love Park, you know? And I just was like...
Just like casually throwing that shit out there. Like, way
and landing it?
Yeah, like...
I just saw it and I was like, wow, like... that kid's got something, you know, like, you know. So he started staying. We ended up putting him on. And, I mean, SubZero kind of blew up. Like, because we were hanging out there and, you know, and then Eastern Exposure I think it was the first one was filmed already. I think we put that out the same year. I think it was 94, I believe.
Wow.
That was the beginning of the summer. And then after that, we had so much... response from that and exposure. Like, people were like, that's when people started coming to Philly, like other pros, like all the DC, Andy Stone and Pepe and all those guys came up and they would stay with us, and Carlos, like they all came up and started staying with us, and then the New York guys started coming down, like you know, Huff and Keenan and Gino. Those guys were the first like New Yorkers that started coming down, you know, and they stayed at our house at 12th Street. So we started getting people to come, you know? And then after that video with Dan Wolf, we met Dan Wolf, we had him doing this. We were like, we have this dude here, like, why don't we do a SubZero video, you know? Like, FTC did it, we can do it, you know? And we just started filming with Dan. Kind of really didn't even know how to film the way we wanted to film, but we just started. And, you know, it just came together. And then we all edited together, which was the... best. It was like the most.
Seems like a rare
crazy
thing.
Yeah.
I feel like the filmer, editor, or whatever is always like shuts the door and is like, "Yo, you are not seeing your shit. Like, I'm gonna make your shit. And you're gonna deal with it. Maybe throw me a song or whatever, but like I'm not letting you in on this process."
Well, I think Dan probably would have wanted that, but all of us were so like bullheaded. Like we're like, what, you kidding me? This is us.
Yeah,
like,
you know.
Yeah. So Dan was like, oh, all right. So we all sat in that room and like. You know, I didn't drink at the time, and Matt and everyone's drinking and get wasted, and everything in that video we told Dan to do. Like the beginning part, we wanted it all switch. You know, when even in the friends section when we put Beer City and all that stuff, like that was a joke. Like it wasn't stuff we sold, but we were just laughing and we're like, we'll put Brian Steven Beer City. Like we're just laughing, and Dan's like, I don't want to do this, and we're like, no, you're doing it, dude. Like. No ifs, ands, or buts. And Dan's like, I don't know, this is not going to work. And we're like, it's going to work. Just listen to us, you know?
It clearly worked.
Yeah. And, you know, even at the end with, like, the credits go down, we're like, we have 3 rules. No piss pedaling, no turning around, you know? which was really a joke, you know, but we were serious about it with our own skating, but, I mean, it wasn't like the rules had to be stuck. Like, oh, you skate that way, you can't skate with us. That's not the way it was, you know? It was for us, you know? And at the end of the editing, we were just joking. And it was like, what, 6 a.m, the sun was coming up, we'd all been looking at videos, you know, and it wasn't easy back then. It was like...
It's a fucking
process.
Was this edited digitally or before?
This was a hot wire, like from I don't even know how, I forget how they did, but
like VCR to VCR.
I think it was VCR to VCR, man.
The process is so brutal.
Yeah, and then that video came out and it kind of blew up, and
to say the least,
we did not. I mean, we were hoping, but it went further than I had.
Yeah, what did you guys think of that reception? I mean, that video is still talked about today. So decent exposure is is solidified its place in skateboarding history. So
blown apart. Yeah,
people always will look at that. We'll see it, reference it, fuck with it.
Yeah,
it's there forever, which is pretty crazy.
I mean, we really got lucky because Dan was he was a real deal filmer. He studied Mike Trudnowski, he wanted to be those guys, so he
saw what they were doing out west.
He did, and he even added some shit, you know, his long views and
rolling long lines were
Dan.
That is the sickest shit.
Yeah,
all the stuff at Pulaski,
beautiful
the long lines, so cool.
And
that shit.
Stan Wolf, you know, and I remember before he started filming down there, I saw him at Fairman's, and he's like, "What's up?" You know, I kind of knew him before everyone else, and he's like, "You think if I came to Love, it would be all right?" And I'm like, "Well, if you're with me, yeah." Because at that time, bringing a video camera in, I mean, dudes were getting whooped every weekend.
It was like that for a long time.
Yeah, it was just the way that worked there, you know? I mean, before those guys were doing it, there was this ill dude who used to do it. And, he went to jail, and he ended up passing away in jail.
Oh,
but this dude was ill. He took bikes from BMXers. I mean,
that's crazy.
I mean, he just would BMXers be up there and he'd be like, "Give me your bike," and dude's like, "No way!" And he'd be like, "Boom!" And the dude would just fall over and he'd get on the bikes, and all the other dudes would be like, "Let's get him," you know. And he's like, "What?" And they're like, "No!" And they just ride away, you know. And I think his name was Sean. I forget. I should remember the name, but he was the first ill dude. I remember skating with him by myself, hot summer day. And I'm like, "Oh, man, this dude's going to jack me. I know it." But this other dude comes. I'm like, "Oh, all right, it's between me and him now."
Yeah, you got another target.
Yeah, so he's skating with me, and I'm like, every time he does, I'm like, "Yeah!" You know, whatever it was, you know?
Yeah.
And he sits down. It's me and this other kid. And he gets up, and he punches the kid. You know, the kid falls to the ground. And he doesn't even grab his board. He grabs his Wawa drink.
Oh my God.
Drinks his Wawa drink.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and he puts it down.
It's the most emasculating thing I've ever heard.
Left his board, and I was just like, "Oh shit!" And I was like, "That's what's up." And he's like, yeah, and he just skated. And I'm like, "All right, man, he's not after me. I'm cool with this dude.
He's hydrated."
Yeah. He punched a dude for a Wawa drink. That was the ill fruit punch Wawa. I remember. The dude's lips were red from fruit punch, and he socks him. He falls to the ground, and then his face is all red from the. I just remember that, and I'm just like, "Yo, this brother's crazy, man."
So SubZero video, that shit takes off, well received. During that time period, I feel like a lot of characters, good skateboarders, really came out of that video. Started to, I guess it was more known, I guess you could say, to the general public. One of my favorites, Uncle Freddie. Do you have any good Fred stories?
Legend. Yeah, I mean, besides just being ahead of everyone's time, you know what I mean?
Really tech at this time.
He was.
Switchfoot
basic but
93.
tech. You know what I mean? When I saw him do the switch frontside blunt slide,
it's a crazy trick.
I couldn't. I mean, just to do regular frontside blunt slides was hard at that time, and he did it switch. He really blew my mind a lot of times. He was almost hard to skate with because. For all of us, he was just ahead, so ahead, you know? And it was just it was hard to keep up. with him sometimes. I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, kickflip, switch backside tail slide. Like, I didn't even know that was possible. Like, are you kidding me? He was just like one of those dudes, like, fuck it, you know? Like, I'll do it, you know? And he would just do it, you know? And
this
it was...
program is gnarly.
Yeah.
The best possible way.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
And at this time now, Freddie's here, and we're living in West Philly, and he's staying there a lot. He doesn't have like a room, but he's staying there a lot. Mm-hmm. And so is Brian Stevens, and Eric Ruwati, and they're staying there a bunch. And Freddie at this time, like, now we all know he's like this ill dude, you know? And it's crazy. We had lived in this beautiful old West Philly home, and we would play skate at 3 a.m. on these, like, the beautiful hardwood floor down in the living room. And, like, we live next door to the Blackwells, and they're, like, this ill figure, like, political person in the city.
Yeah, they were hyped.
Dude, they must have... I know they wanted to kill us. But we put holes in the floor, and, like, we would play skate, and, like, it was crazy. But Freddie was he's just mind-blowing, man. And, like, that skate to West Philly to Love was one of the best ones because it was so downhill. Jerry Fisher was living there at the time. It was me, Matt, Fisher, Freddie, you know, Stevens was there. Like, we had a really cool household, you know? It was always active. Like, we'd go out skating at 12 at night and find crazy, weird little things around there. And we would skating to Love from there was so much fun. It was downhill, and we had all this shit that was like shit you really didn't hit going down the road, like 12 stairs, ollieing off 12 stairs, you know? But the more we did it, the more we started doing that, you know?
Yeah, just kind of
hitting that shit.
With it.
Yeah. Like, we'd be like, just imagine hitting that going down the road. And then, like, 2 weeks later, I would see Fisher ollie up the curb. I'm like, no. And he would blast an ollie down these 12 steps. You don't know who's there. Like, it's not set up. Like, people walking up steps, who's underneath the steps. You just go for it, you know? And I think that's what's so rad about skating down the road is because it changes every day. There's the same obstacles might be there, but who's in front of them? You know, the traffic, everything changes, and that's what's so rad about it. Like, you can skate down a road and, you know, it looks the same, but every day is a different thing, you know? I remember skating down a road and someone's dog, and I ollie over the dog, you know? And that doesn't happen ever again, but it happened that one day, and that psyched me out for, like, so long, you know? I'm like,
imagine.
Like, I got the ollie dog, you know? And a lot...
I don't think too many people can say that.
Yeah, and some of the best shit was, like, when we'd see, like, one of those box trucks pull up to a light, and we were coming up to it, we'd all be like, first one try to get to it, to grind the back of it.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
the shit that juts out.
Yeah, so we would get to it, grind it, and the dude in the front would be like, boom!
Yeah,
you know, he's like, what the fuck? You know, and he's usually like this Asian brother, like, dude, like, and he would be like, the next dude would hit it, boom! He's like, what the? And he would get out, and we never stopped. And like, so it was like this line of people hitting, and we'd just keep going. And the dude would be like, what the? You know, like, he'd go back and look at his, you know, and we'd just be gone, you know? So that was so rad, you know, but... Getting back to Freddie, I think Freddie just being himself and being just like not caring wore off on us a lot, like not giving a fuck, you know, like
that dude embodies that.
Yeah,
sure. He does not give a shit.
No,
it's pretty amazing.
He can back it up with his skating too.
So with all the hype after the SubZero video, did like sponsorship ever come into play? Did you ever hit up any companies, ever send it a tape or anything like that?
Yeah, I think before that, I rode for 777, which was I think Dave Andrick's company. Was it Dave Andrick's? Shit, I might have that wrong. But Ricky had rode for him, Matt, and they kind of helped me get on. I got a couple boards, but they were crazy boards. Like, I'm like, oh my god, dude, this is my first board. Like, I was psyched to get the package, but I was like, what the fuck? Like, these aren't rideable. Yeah, like, things started happening. Matt got on adrenaline, and he wanted me on adrenaline, you know? So I was going out to SF a lot, and then I was staying at Jai's house, Jai Bondaroff, and Matt wanted me on. Everyone else, Chris said everyone else wanted me on. Jai was the only one that was like, I don't know. So I got a couple boards from them, but I never really considered myself sponsored by them, but I got a couple boards. That's where it started rolling for me. Then when I came back, Rick knew I wanted to get on it and didn't want me to be a part. Like, he wanted me to stay here and be on the East Coast, and he's like, asked me to ride for Zoo, you know?
Oh, okay.
So that's how I started riding for Zoo York. And that was my, really, besides SubZero, I think my first sponsor.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah.
It's a good place to start, for
And
sure.
Nowadays, board sponsors seems like it doesn't matter anymore. I know maybe I'm wrong. I feel it's a shoe sponsor that
I mean,
makes it matter.
it's the shoe
Shoes
sponsor
pay.
that gives you the money, but
Right.
I still like when you think about someone and you identify them with a board
Yeah.
company rather than
I agree.
a fucking a swoosh,
Yeah.
3
Well,
stripes.
So many
like,
people
'cause
ride
it really,
for the bigger companies.
Yeah, I feel like it's a really like
Yeah.
sets
kinda
makes
blend
you
together,
yeah.
But I'm lost. Like when I watch dudes, I have no clue what board company they ride for
And I
because
think
they have a
that's
monster sticker or something crazy. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
What?
that's
Like
fried.
what
Yeah.
company is this dude ride for? And then it just, I'm like, or does that not matter anymore? I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know.
I mean, just off the top of my head, an example. I mean, if you look at someone like Ricky,
Yeah.
I mean, granted, Traffic is
Right,
his company, but when you
right.
think about Ricky, you think Traffic. Like,
Yeah.
he had like shoe deals like throughout
Mhm.
his career, but you don't think about
No.
that. You're
We
just like,
embody
Ricky
Yeah.
is
the
fucking
brand.
Ricky
Yeah.
is Traffic.
Yeah.
But
So I started riding for Zoo, and the New York guys, I think they had their way of wanting Zoo to run a certain way, you know, and the skaters that rode up there for Zoo, and Ricky now was making a name for himself, and Ricky was a go-getter. So Ricky was always on the phone telling Rob, like, he was just a go-getter. And now they added me, and I was cool with all those dudes. But I think they felt, and I could be wrong, and they could tell me I'm wrong, that, you know, Ricky was starting to take it over, and they didn't really want that, you know? They liked Ricky being a part of it, but this is our shit.
Yeah.
Like,
He seems
you know?
like he's
And I
very
understand it.
openly and opinionated
Yeah.
dude, so he has, you know, if he feels strongly about something, it seems right that he would
No
act
doubt.
on it or whatever.
Yeah. So, yeah, I got on, and then I rode for a little while. I went on a bunch of tours with those guys without Ricky, and then I got to become good friends with all the Zoo dudes, and I don't know, I became part of the family, like, without Rick, you know? Like, I went on tours, a couple tours with those guys, and, like, we all hit it off, you know? Like, and I felt, after that, I was like, all right, I feel better about this, you know?
Yeah.
I wasn't, like, Ricky's guy, like, I'm a part of it now, you know? Yeah, like, with Zoo, I think it was, like, Rodney and everyone, Eli, who was this amazing, like, artist who did all the graphics, you know? He was a genius. And Rodney, and there was this other guy, a money guy named Adam, who was behind the scenes. And they had such great ideas, but I think they were always fighting for money. Like, it was, you know...
It's a limited resource.
Yeah, and when you, like, make boards, you know, that still sell for $50, you know, that even to this day, which I think is crazy, I am not against boards being $75, or, so shops have some, you know, shops can live a little bit. It's a skate shop. Like,
you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah, and, like, you
it's a
have to
crazy
sell all
game.
this to make it,
Yeah.
but this is what people are here for, you know, skateboards, you know?
Yeah.
So Zoo, and even though they had Chapman and their own little thing, you know, Zoo was just always struggling to stay afloat, you know, like, nothing against Zoo, and I'll just put it out there. I know Rick was always fighting for his checks, you know, and it was like $500, but Zoo is funny because Zoo's famous thing was like, it's in the mail, you know, to Rick, and Rick would be like, you said that, Rod, I would hear Rick, Rod. You said that 2 weeks ago, Rod. I know, like, and they would just go back and forth, you know.
Mail doesn't move that slow.
Yeah, but they did, you know, but I don't think they did on purpose. I think it was just because we saw, like, we didn't understand. Like, we saw this company and, like, the things they were making, things they had, and the samples they would have, like, the gear they were coming up with was like we were just, I mean, I was just looking and be like, I'll die to wear this. Like, I can't wait to get this, you know? And they had all this dope shit. Eli worked with Russell Simmons with, what did Russell Simmons' clothing company? Oh, shit. I forget. But that was successful, and Eli helped that in the beginning. So he knew how to do the clothing, but the money just wasn't there. Like, they had to put a ton of money in it for it to happen, you know? So
it takes a lot to get that shit off the ground. Yeah.
It does. So I feel like they were just always behind, and I feel like Chapman, who made the boards, was like allowing him to get behind because we all saw this.
Yeah.
This
they knew what was gonna be.
It could have been like the names New York. Like people loved that shit. Like like people wanted Zoo stuff. There wasn't anything to give people.
Yeah.
Like seriously, like when I remember getting thousands of stickers, and I was just so psyched to have those, and put them everywhere. And it was just like, I was appreciative to ride for anyone. Like, if I got one board a month, whatever, it was just like, I was really psyched to ride for Zoo. We started having that East Coast pride, and it wasn't because we hated West Coast, and it had nothing to do with that. It was just like...
It's where you're at. That's
where we're at. And why do I have to move there to be a pro skater or to do... Like, we want to stay here, and we want to build our industry here. And Zoo was the key, They had the own wood making it here, and it was good back then. Like, that wood was the best, you know?
Chapman makes...
Yeah. I don't know nowadays, but then it was dope. Like, we had the best wood, but Zoo just couldn't get it going, And Eli, being a genius, was like... since we didn't really fit the New York side, it did. It was a skate company, but Eli's like, I don't know who really came up with it, was like, we want to do another company with you guys. Me, Rick, Matt were like, what? And then, come up to New York, we'll talk about it. So we all went up to New York, and they're like, it's called Illuminati. And we really had no clue what that meant. I was like, what is that? And Eli starts schooling us on it, and he showed us some graphics and stuff he had done like for us, and we're just all like seriously, we had nothing to say. We're just like, we're so in. Like,
that was...
oh my god. Matt ended up quitting Adrenaline, but Illuminati was not ready to be happening yet. So that's when Matt rode for Zoo York. So that Keys board came out, so he could get paid, and that's how that Keys board came out. And this is when Illuminati was in process, you know?
Getting the ball rolling.
And the sticker, this sticker was our company for really almost like 8 months to a year. Like,
wow.
We had stickers before anything, and we just dreamed of it, and then we all dove into what it meant. Like, got books. Behold the Pale Horse was like the introduction. I remember it was a hard book to get, and I remember getting it from somebody and just like reading it and being like, oh my god, like all this shit, like, this government, like, there was just so many cool ideas to do off it. And I was like, Eli is such a genius, it's gonna be such a rad thing. And we had so many people wanting it, and then when we first started making boards, there was such a demand for it that we couldn't keep any shop full. So when you do that, it creates want, when you can't have, you want. So I remember my first month we were out, like, I sold a ton of boards. So we all did,
Yeah.
And Chappie told us what he should, like, he wasn't supposed to. And I'm like, yo, Rod, like, $2 a board, I should be like, what, $4,000 check? Like, we sold a lot of boards.
Yeah.
And Rod's like, how do you know? No, that's not what. And I'm like, Chappie told me. And he's like, what?
Yeah, I'm sure that was a
but we had
call.
We would go around Zoo to talk to Chappie, because going through them, we won't get the info, And Chappie was a nice guy, and we just would call him and be like, yo, bro.
The best over there. They're
like,
good people.
What's up? So, Chappie couldn't do Zoo and Illuminati. Like, he just didn't have the manpower. Like, Illuminati blasted in. And Zoo was still, Zoo was still doing its own thing too, Like, it was growing, It just couldn't keep up. So Chappie was just like, whoa, like, I think he had to do one set and, like, do Illuminati boards, like, for a little while, and then Zoo board, you know what I mean? Like, he couldn't, so, and then our first couple ads, it really just blew up, man. Like, it was amazing. Like, we asked Freddie to ride for Illuminati, and he was, like, this close to doing it.
That would have been cool.
Which I'm kind of happy he didn't now, because it didn't work out, but, he really thought about it, and we were like, please, and he wanted to, but he had such loyalty to Alien. I mean,
that's cool. Yeah.
It was. I no doubt respect it. You know?
Both awesome companies in their own right.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
And Freddie's been riding for Alien since he's been 11 or something, like.
Yeah, he's.
Yeah.
It's a long time to
great
do
friends
brand.
with Chris Carter. You know, they had a great relationship, and I think Freddie made the right decision. But we really wanted him on the team.
Yeah, that would have been amazing.
I mean, big time.
Yeah.
So Illuminati is growing, and it's like becoming its own entity. It's not even really a part of Zoo now. Like it is, but it's just
becoming its own thing, its own beast.
Yeah, it's just like rolling, and like it really was like just taking off, and couldn't keep up, you know. And then I think Zoo got some letters from. There's a card game called Illuminati, and they had rights to the name.
C&D shit.
Yeah, and I knew about the card game because when I started getting into it, I knew that there was a card game, so I wanted to look at it for graphics, and so I bought the card game, and like so while that happens, like they get threatened to be sued, and Eli and them are like, we don't know what to do. I think we all kind of like were like, and I could be wrong, we're like, I think it's time to leave this, and I think they wanted us to leave because they knew it was not. They didn't have enough to keep it afloat. Even though it was a sick idea and they came up with it, but they had to stick with Zoo, their shit, and let it go. Let Rick go and all of us, whatever. We kind of, we didn't do it yet, but we knew Mike was doing Capital down in DC. Oh, okay. So we're like, all right,
really cool brand.
Yeah, and we knew Mike had money and he had done stuff in skateboarding. We wanted somebody who was involved in skateboarding.
Right.
So we went and called him up, said, hey, we want to talk to you about, Illuminati. Would you be interested? And he's like, come down. So we go down, me, Matt, and Rick, and we talk to him about it. And we tell him we can't have the name, but we'll come up with another name. Are you interested? And he's like, in 2 seconds, fuck yeah. Like, hell yeah. Like, I want to do this. Like, let's do it now, Rick actually takes off to go to Australia. And Rick's like, Matt, you and Matt need to come up with another name, And, we're here skating, and we really didn't put time into the name. Like, it's really our fault. And I think Mike calls Ricky in Australia. He's like, I need a name tonight. Like, it's like, I'm about to put this shit out, like, whatever. And then, so Ricky, I thought it went a different way, but he had to school me the other day on how it actually went. But so, from Australia, Ricky was, like, reading shit about it. And I guess the Illuminati at one time was was called the Silver Star or something like that. So he had read something about it, and he's like, had to make that decision in, like, a second. He's like, all right, Silver Star, And without even telling us, he just came up with it, and
it's not bad for thinking on your feet. It's a pretty good name for a.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
It's not, and I feel bad he was put under that pressure to do that. Like,
hey,
I remembered a whole different way, but you tend to do, and
I'm sure,
and you get older. But it became Silver Star. So I think I get the call next day from like somebody like, it's called Silver Star, and I'm like, Silver Star? I'm like, I could have done better, but I wasn't, I wasn't doing better. So the fuck am I talking about? And I know Matt was like, I don't know about this Silver Star thing. I know he wasn't too happy, but at this point there's nothing we could do, and it turned out to be a good name. I ended up growing on me and enjoying it,
it's a cool name for a brand. That's interesting to hear that, like, you guys initially weren't feeling it.
Yeah.
Because
I think only reason we didn't feel it because we had Illuminati at first.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, it's like.
It sucks when like the better name or like the best option gets taken away.
Like the amazing option, like it's just top. It's just top,
Yeah, but.
So anything you could have said anything, and I'd have been, and that's why it was so hard. Like, I tried, I sat down with books looking for words, but it was so hard for me I was trying to match that, and there is no match to that.
Yeah, it's hard when, it's one of those things, like, if you try so hard, you're not going to get to that point. Like, it has to be, like, something like Rick, like, on the spot, like,
no doubt.
We'll call it this, and then it works out.
Yeah.
It has to be, like, kind of a freeform thing.
It does, and it did, and that's the only way it was going to ever get done, you know? So Rick did that from Australia, and I think Rick was a little pissed at us because he left, and we're here like skating, but not. Rick's in Australia, and he had to be bothered by that. So I think he was a little pissed when he came back, which is fine. I mean, whatever. And then Silver Star, we did it, and it still, like, when we started putting up boards, it still just was rolling, But one thing I think we did that I look back on, like Mike was able to produce, you know, what he wanted to, and it was in demand so much he filled that demand. You know, which wasn't a bad thing because there were still more people. But if I would do it differently now, I wouldn't have filled it all the way. You know,
keep the people wanting.
Yeah,
the limited
and it's
supplies,
not like people stopped wanting because we had this like following and people loved it. But
make it a little bit more desirable.
Yeah, when you say you can't have it to whatever, maybe it's like it just wants people want it. You know,
demand,
yeah. So that I think that's one thing I would change. There's other things I would change too because we had deals with him. Like it was our company along with him. You know, we had percentages, but we never wrote anything. You know, it was never on paper.
That's the fucking.
You have 20-some-year-olds who are just to skate,
you
have this amazing company in your mind. You know, people are loving it, and like now, like that shit wasn't. We were skaters. Like I wasn't gonna go get a lawyer. Like, I didn't even have money to get a lawyer. You know,
that's
but
a lot to ask.
Yeah. So whatever. So, but Silver Star was rad, man. Like I got to do a lot. Like Australia, like you know, traveled a lot, and I was so psyched to ride for that. And that's right when. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. When I was still when Illuminati was Illuminati, I started riding for Sheep Shoes. And that was after I rode for Simple Shoes for a little while, and then I rode Mike Manzuri, who became a good friend of mine. Saw Ricky at Tampa, and they were talking about Sheep Shoes and you know what they were gonna be. And I think Rick mentioned my name, and he was like, "Yeah." As they came back, I think Mike either called me or I called him, and then we started talking about Sheep, and he put me on the team right away. He's like, "You're on the team, yeah." But we're filming a video, mate. And I was like, oh, cool. You know, I'm like, I'm down. He's like, you want to fly out this month? And I'm like, I'm down, you know? So all my footage is done. I flew out there. I flew out to L.A. We drove up to San Francisco because I didn't want to be in L.A. because I wanted to skate. I wanted to film it here, but I wanted to skate in a city I could go out my door and skate.
You can relate to
LA is so spread out. It's like
I don't want to drive.
Skate really from spot to spot. It's just a different vibe.
It is.
That team was crazy too.
Is this for the Life of Leisure video? That company was. It's a cliche, but it was ahead of its time. It just, like, simple designs, like cool, classic looking shoes. Like it had it had amazing skaters.
Yeah, that video is funny, man. That
video part is amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Rainbow rail, slappy 50.
Yeah,
that's the fucking.
You ollied over the rail into that hill bomb that like people are just now like starting to get away with tricks on. I
was telling Rick the other day, I'm like, he mentioned him. He's like, what do you mean, the Trudnowski? You know, because I was like, why isn't that named after me? Like, I'm the first dude that did that. Like, you have the cardio guy, you've gone, what's that? Why isn't that the Trudnowski? I was just playing, but I remember finding that with Mike, and I'm like, I want to do that. And Mike's like, started laughing. I'm like, no, I'm going to do this for the video part, you know? I'm definitely doing it. And I believe, I could be wrong, somebody had tried it and not done any, you know, didn't do it. I don't know who it was.
Still fair game.
It wasn't filmed. It's never, you know. And then I just had it in my brain, and all the spots in SF, I didn't want to skate anything anybody else had skated. Like,
it seems like there's so much out there. Like,
architecture kind of how the part was.
I was like, none of us ever went to any city and was like, take us to your spots. I would go there and be like, we're gonna find spots. Like, I'd call up Gabe, I'd call up Tobin, I'd call up all the photographers, like, hey, look, I'm coming out in 3 weeks. I'll call you when I find spots, you know? And they all were, like, super cool. Like, I would get out there and I'd call them. Hey, Gabe, I found, like, 10 spots. You want to go out, take photos tomorrow? Yes. Tobin, I found, yes. You know, those guys were really, they knew what we were all about.
Yeah, that's cool.
They got it.
Vibed with that and understood what you guys were trying to do.
Yes. And, you know, me and Matt and Rick would say when we go out there, like, if I don't come back from SF, like, barely walking and, you know, no skin on my body, like, it wasn't worth it. It was, like, our time to go out there and show Philly off, you know? Not without them coming, like, it's hard not...
Sure, you guys have the offer, like, go to their turf. And, like, that's good,
but skate the way we skate, you know?
Yeah, just bring it...
Like, bombing hills, like, which people did, but going fast, finding things that you're in a city that no one has skated yet, you know?
Yeah.
In that city of thousands of skaters, like, how can you find something different?
Find that gem.
Because you can, You know, your
You got
eyes,
that eye,
like,
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Back then, I feel like a lot of East Coast skaters that stayed on the East Coast. I mean, you granted for that video, you went to SF, but I feel like there weren't a lot of East Coast skateboarders that had like a full shoe sponsor. It was like getting a paycheck, like in the video. How did you feel about like all that at that time?
Oh man, I was really psyched on it.
Yeah,
you
to
know?
be like selected to be that dude. Yeah,
and from Mike Manzuri, like he is like seriously one of the coolest dudes. Not just because he's but he's he's an awesome human being. Like he's really a legit great guy, man. And we hit it off right from the get go. And John Miner did a lot of filming.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I flew and met those guys, and I met them before, so I was like, and we had to drive to SF together, so we got to know each other in the car, you know? And, but John Miner's another nice, sick dude, and we went and stayed in Santa Rosa, which I was really bummed at first, because I'm like, I want to be in SF. This is where I got to film.
Yeah, that was their shit, though. There's like that one Santa Rosa
so
park that like there's all that old footage of those dudes ripping.
Yeah.
I think like Manzuri posted on Instagram.
Yeah.
But it's like
I think John still does.
Yeah. Him or Miner, like they post. I've seen clips from that park where it's like I don't know, it's like a weird like snake run type park or some shit.
It is.
They're like they're
cool
ripping.
park. Yeah.
It
it's one of the first ones.
Yeah, it looks
like,
really sick.
Wow.
Yeah. But when I went there, I was like, oh man, I really want to be in a city. But I really loved Santa Rosa and staying there. And it was like, I don't think I filmed anything there, but just skating there with those guys, it felt really good. And we ended up going to city, but it was awesome. Like that whole trip was like sometimes like skateboarding just like everything works. You know, like you're not fighting
organic.
You know,
like
it just
everything
like
felt right.
Yeah, like them guys, like. It just like, I wasn't working at it. It was just flowing out of me, you know, if that makes sense, you know? It's just, there was nothing to fight. I wasn't getting mad. It was just coming, you know? And it was just a really good time to go out there. And, you know, at first I was really nervous, like, oh my God, like I have to prove, and then I just did something I loved. And that's when you become pro, you lose a lot of that. Like, because now it's the job.
Whatever,
and
it goes from being one thing to...
it's kind of, for someone like me, it was really hard, and people are like, stop whining. I'm not whining. It's just like, it was really hard for me to put it in a job and not be something I love. Like, it was just hard, you know?
Most people don't love their day job. So it's weird when it's like, your passion is your job, and you're stressing about the thing you love to do, and that's like a weird dynamic.
Yeah, and now, like, since everything grew, you have people coming to love and sitting down and watching. So I understood Mike Carroll and all those guys. Yeah, and it was hard. Like, you go up to love, and now there's this expectation, you know?
Yeah,
to
you're
skate
on
and do this
or whatever.
Yeah, and like, there's days you just want to do 50-50s all day, you know?
Not everybody's fucking ripping 24/7.
Right, but people don't, I know it sounds crazy, but people think what they see in a video is what you do every day.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
like first try, every try. Like, that's the shit you can do.
It's true.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think that video was, just that shoe company, I was so psyched on it. You know, they paid for me to go to Australia. They helped do all that stuff. They were, you know, Don Brown was really nice to me. And
seems like a good dude.
Yeah, I still hit him up here and there. And,
that's cool.
Yeah, they just did that vegan shoe. That one,
Ryan Lay.
And they used a part of my. They used the clip from. The sheep shoes, one of my clips, and put it in a commercial. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I don't know. They ended up sending me a bunch of shoes and stuff, but I don't know. Those guys, that was just working with those guys was just really easy. It was skateboarding, you know. It's
better when it feels like that than like a forced thing.
Yeah. The only thing I was sad, it just didn't go as long as I wish it really did.
Yeah,
you know,
it was a little before its time.
Yeah, it's unfortunately how brands like that go.
Yeah.
It's like they're on the cusp of something great.
But sometimes just timing in everything is the most important.
Timing's a bitch.
It is, and I've always been really lucky with me, like coming to Philly at that time, going to New York at that time, meeting those people. You know, I've always hit the timing right, you know, with things. And just companies, I think, maybe were just a little ahead of its time, you know? Sheep Shoes was awesome. Then after that stopped, like, I stayed and rode for Etnies, you know? So I was getting Etnies for a little while after that, while Silver Star was still... Even after Silver Star, I think I still got a couple of boxes, but...
what happened after Silver Star? What was the...
I mean, for me, it was rough. Like, I was just, like, heartbroken, you know? Like, because and the way it ended, it was just I got a call and was it done, you know? Yeah. It was like, I didn't see it coming.
I feel like things always... It's always the story you hear. It's one day you get the phone call and it's like, yo, it's a wrap. We're out.
I'm like, a wrap? I'm like, well, can I get a box? And they're like, no, it's done.
We don't have shit.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I know, but there's got to be stuff laying around. No, he had to sell that because he owes a lot of money. Yeah. Like, I'm like, no, but I know, listen, it's done. See ya. And I'm just like, it was like just taking something, like taking this thing that we built and like I thought was like the beginning of this, the future of the East Coast, having this industries where kids didn't have to go anywhere and they were just sponsored from here and like other companies starting and you know we started a magazine here, like it was all in a journal, like it was all the basics that needed to hold a whole industry, you know. We had the roots, you know, they were there, but they just weren't in deep enough, you know. They were too easily pulled out, you know? Yeah. And part of it, and I was explaining a little earlier, what I would change is we put too many things into one basket. Yeah. First Division, nicotine cap, all that was in one guy.
There's one distribution, huh?
And if we if I could do it differently, it would not be that way.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we didn't have a choice, and we couldn't see that, you know? But it was our biggest mistake, you know? I mean, just imagine all that shit worked out, and like, I don't know. I just think things would have been different, you know?
Entirely, yeah. I mean, that was a revolutionary idea. Yeah, that you didn't need to go to the West Coast to do your shit. Yeah, you could always be from here, but you could never stay here. Yeah, that's the idea. Right. So you need to eventually go to them. Right. Go to the industry to make it shit happen.
Yeah, I think I was 27 at the time when it ended. Was actually a blessing in disguise. Even though I would have loved to keep having, you know, skating and getting paid, but I was able to find a job that I could do. You know, I got into being a bike messenger, you know. It was like,
was that when that was like hot and popping?
It was just right before it was hot. It was like in 97, you know, 90. And it was a lot like skating, flying through the road, you know. I got a track bike and I got in, and like, I was using my feet and like flying and
well, it's funny because didn't you have a paper route when you were younger?
I did. Yeah. It's funny how it kind of comes full circle. That's cool. And I started making money doing it. I mean, you could make good money back then. Before 9/11, like everybody got, you know, like I needed. I worked my way up the ranks, and then I had a girlfriend who was a dancer. She wanted to move to New York, and I was like, yeah, I'm down. Let's do it. Moved in together. We ended up breaking up like 3 months after we moved up there, which was like, I think it was the first time a girl has ever broken up with me, and it was like, you know, and I wasn't even that in love with her, but it was just like, she left me, so I was like, oh my god, I'm like, like a whole year I was devastated, and the whole time, like, I moved back to Philly, but I was like, no, everyone who moved up here, moved back in 3 months, I'm not one of them dudes, I'm staying up here, I can make it, and I pushed through that first year. And I was also a bike messenger in New York. That was my first job, so I kind of brought that up to New York. And I pushed through that first year. And like in the middle of that first year being up there, I met Tino Razzo, and right away we became like really good friends. You know, we both wrote graffiti, so we had that in common, and skating. You know, so. He became my best friend up there, and we just hung out, and I hung out with really cool people. Like, I met a lot of cool people, and a lot of it was because of my skateboarding past, you know, like, it's got me a lot of cool things, you know? And
you network, and you meet so many amazing people that
just notice it. It's beautiful, you're right. And sometimes I take it for granted, and I have to, like, remember, I'm like, wow. But it's also comes from a lot of hard work, you know? It wasn't like... Yeah, like, I spent a lot of time skating. It was never to get, you know, where I got to. It was always just for love, but it ended up getting there, so it's a bonus.
Well,
so,
it's better that that has to be the way that it works. Like,
yeah.
It has to just fall into place. Like, you can't
agree.
will it into existence.
I agree.
You need to, like, do your thing, and if it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
If not, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, seems to be the way that it goes.
I feel like it's different nowadays, because it's, I don't know, and I could be wrong. You could say to me, you're wrong, you know, but I feel like it's just a little different from that. Like, it was so, when I was younger, it was so far away to become pro. Like, that was just like, no way. Yeah. But I remember being at a contest and standing next to Steve Caballero, and he's like, go ahead, Serge. And, like, you know, he says my name as I'm about to drop in, and I'm just like, wait, this dude knows me? Like, you know, even though I'm in this pro, I'm just like, holy shit, like, oh my God, you know, it's Caballero, you know? So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's cool as shit.
Yeah. But so New York was the worst time of my life in the beginning, but stuck it out and became the best place I've ever lived. Whatever you're into, someone's into, whatever it is. Yeah. You know, New York, it's like,
there's shit going on there all the time.
Yeah. And I'm an artist. Like, I see things differently. The electricity up there, the way people do things, it was just flowing, man. Like, you know, it was dope, man. New York is the best city. Like, for whatever you're doing, like, I don't know.
It pains me to say that, but
it does me too.
I love Philly, but it
does me too. It's like, I have artist friends that are here and they're like,
there.
we're gonna stick it out here. I'm like, you're not. I mean, it's cool, but what is your goal? Well, when I make mine, I'm like, you gotta go to New York, dude. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, you got to. And then you can come back here, but it is the truth.
Make your money, come back.
Yeah, yeah. But then I met my wife up in New York, and Sienna was still here. So it was every 2 weeks I was trying to come back and see her, because I still, you know, want to be a big part of her life. And so it just got really hard to keep coming back and forth.
Yeah.
And I had met my wife up there. We worked at a all-vegan restaurant called Angelica Kitchen.
Oh, wow.
Which, like, served all these, like, I served Madonna, like...
Oh, man.
Yeah, like, all the stars that ate well came there, you know? Like, everyone, you know? Q-Tip used to come.
Oh, that's awesome.
All the time. And I used to give him free food, you know?
Yeah, of course.
But he would never tip. So then I was like, I called him no tip, you know? And then I was like, no more, I'm not giving this dude free food.
Yeah, fuck that.
And he came in, and he's like...
It's in his name.
He's like, yeah, and I'm like, $15, and he's like, excuse me, and I'm like, $15. He's like, I usually don't pay. And I'm like, no, you're paying now. And he's like, he got real salty with me.
Yeah,
and I'm
bullshit.
Like, look, dude, I've been here for 3 years. I've hooked you up. You've never put anything in here.
Yeah.
Like, get the fuck out of here. Pay, you know. So many cool dudes I waited. Beastie Boys came in all the time. Damn. I worked at Extra Large, their store as well. I forgot, but New York was awesome. But the reason I came back to Philly was for Sienna, really, and my wife. And luckily, she's from Connecticut. She agreed to come back here. I brought her down here a couple of times. And to people that's never been here, it's a fun city, man. Like, it's a cool city. And she was totally into it, luckily. And she moved back here. We lived on 4th and like Fitzwater for like 4 years.
Man.
Yeah,
that's a cool block.
Yeah, and then we ended up buying a home in Germantown. And
nice. That's a cool area.
Yeah, Germantown's like, and that's what I do now. Like, for 12 years before I did this, I worked for a coffee roaster, La Colombe.
Yeah.
And I fixed espresso machines and coffee brewers and drove around learning how to do that. And then I ended up quitting that, and then I live in this old home, and I like restoring old homes. Like, that's my new thing. Like, usually I'm just painting, but if I have a chance to restore and bring a house back to what it was 150 years ago, like with fixing the plaster the proper way, taking the wood off, doing all, like, that's what I really love to do right now. So that's what I do now, and that's what most of my time is spent. Like, even today before I came here, I was doing shit in my home, you know?
Yeah.
It's my passion right now, you know? I still think about skating. Like when I drive around, I'm still like see shit. I'm like, that's gonna be in my part.
Never lose
that's gonna be in my part. Yeah, like I know no one skated this. That's my next part. You know, there's no next part, but I still see the world as a skateboarder.
There could be.
It doesn't leave.
Yeah, no, what's stopping you, man? We got that. He's got the VX right here.
We can get it anytime.
No. When Jimmy came out, me and him were both like, "It's our comeback," you know. And then he kept skating, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't know about it. I don't think I'm coming out today, man."
Whatever. You still got love for it. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
So I know recently you had a guest board on a local company called Terra Planet X.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Terra Planet X.
Let's check real quick.
How did that come about? How did that feel? And especially since you haven't been in the limelight of skateboarding for some time. So if you want to elaborate on that a little bit.
And I don't even know if I was on Instagram at that time, but so I was really away from skating, you know. But Jimmy gave me a call, hit me up, Jimmy Chung, and he was like, "Listen, dude, I just did a board with this company, and the guy's name's Angel, and he was talking about doing it with you. Would you be interested?" And I remember I was at this restaurant, and I was like, what is the company? He's like, he gave me the name and told me about it, and I'm like, what's the dude like? You know, Angel. Like, I'm like,
terrible, worst dude, talks a lot.
No, I'm like, is he doing it for, what's his reason behind it? Is it like, not to make money, obviously not make money, but is he just doing it to get bigger? Is he doing it?
At that time, it's a little bit of a reach.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would, I mean,
I'm just trying to figure out, like, is he want to do it because he actually respects what happened, or does he want to do it just to push his brand? You know, that was important to me, you know? And then Jimmy's like, no, dude, like, the dude, like respects the history, and he, like, sees it in this way, like, that he wants to, like, put your name on a board, and mine as well, and other people, and, like, show, like, appreciation, you know? Thank you, you know, for
everything you did.
You know,
you did for skateboarding,
laying the roots, you know, so we all can do what we do now, you know,
specifically Philly.
And I was like, okay, well, I want to talk to the dude, so I talked to Angel, and
for how many hours?
Yeah, for a long time, you know, which was cool with me because I can go for a long time too.
Yeah, I'm sure that conversation.
God damn. I know he wanted to hear stories, so I had a lot to tell him, you know, and I was like, you know, so Silverstar ended so quick, I kind of would, not that I want to stay on that theme always, but if this is going to be one of my boards, I kind of want to go back to that. Because it ended so quick, I just want to revisit it one last time, you know? Would you be okay with that? Because I know it goes against what you do, you know, with what your aesthetics look like on your skateboards, you know? And he's like, dude, I would be so into that. And then I was like, but one thing, I want to put original True East, you know? It's important. Yeah. It's important for me, you know?
It's good you bring that up because I feel like, I mean, I could be wrong, but you and Ricky kind of came up with that term, and then you were kind of stuck with it. So I don't know if you want to sidetrack into that real quick.
Well, the term really came up. Deluxe was starting to do stuff, like they were kind of taking the ideas we were doing and making not fake companies, but they did a company called Metropolitan, which was a wheel company. It was supposed to be an East Coast wheel company, which it had East Coast riders, but everything was done out there, and that had kind of really got us mad, you know? Yeah. And I don't know, we were all upset with that, and the word got, I think, I don't know, it was tossed around. You know, Ricky or I came up with it. I think I came up with it. Rick thinks he came up with it. It's funny. Right now. I know Rick told Zoo York, you know? Yeah. So that's all it really mattered. And of course, they were like, you know, they ran with it.
They still run with it.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. So and that has nothing to do, like, that's
JCPenney right now.
Yeah. Like,
so you and Rick should be owed a pretty fat
check. No doubt. Like, they still have shirts. True. I know. Yeah. I have the first Truey stickers that are right here. Yeah. That's the original right there. Like, and the only way that can really say that is it says manufactured on the East Coast, like which Zoo was, you know? That's why we didn't put them on our Silverstar boards, you know? But so yeah, that's how True East came, and it was no disrespect to anyone, but it was just saying like, look, that's not East Coast. You might have all East Coast riders. That's cool, but we are True East.
Yeah.
Like,
we're
so you really want that on the board.
shit we're
yeah. And it was no disrespect to Deluxe and stuff, but they're just smart businessmen and trying to get into the market, you know, get into that East Coast. Because there's dudes to this day are like, remember the East Coast company Metropolitan? And I'm like, whoa.
Back now, it's like a streetwear brand almost.
Yeah.
People are like, they sell like $100 t-shirts. Some nut ass shit.
But I always had to set people straight. I'm like, no, whoa. No. Had East Coast riders, but it's not East Coast company.
Yeah,
like,
faking the funk.
But yeah, I think I was still riding for Spitfire at that time. Rick quit, rode for Nicotine. And I stayed for a little bit longer, then ended up quitting. I rode for Spitfire and Thunder at that time, and then I quit both to ride for First Division. And then First Division took off like crazy. Yeah. Like, we had dudes calling, begging, you know, wanting to ride for it, you know.
How did it feel to have your name back on a board again?
You know what? It was really rad because my two youngest daughters have never... You know, they see my boards, but they don't understand, but to see it actually happen and go to the board, you know, and they just got a visual and they were just like, Dad, what, you know, it was cool more for them, for me to see it through their eyes and see them so excited for their dad. And of course I was excited too, through the whole process, you know, like, I was really hands-on and I wanted things to be a little different with it, but I didn't want to disrespect the artist who was doing it. Like, there were some things I wanted different. Yeah. And he did a great job, but there were some things I wanted different. But at the same time, he was the artist, and I'm like, I gotta, you know, I told him what I wanted, basically, and he went with it. But there was some other things I wanted. But it turned out awesome.
Well, hey, man,
I mean,
we
really
can always do another one.
Yeah. No, I was really proud. I mean, I'm really proud of that board. I was really honored to be asked. I'm super honored to be here.
Yeah,
like,
it's
rad. It's rad you guys are interested in something I did, you know, 25 years ago.
I mean, dude, you, Ricky, and Matt laid the groundwork for what Philadelphia skateboarding is.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much made what the way we skate possible.
Yeah.
Like, the way that we look at spots or, like, our interest in exploring and whatnot. Like, you guys set that groundwork. So it's only right that we, like, I don't know, pick your brain about it for a little bit or whatever.
I mean, I really appreciate it. I think I told Rick this the other day, like, I mean, all the money in the world is not better than having people come up to me and say, look, you know, you did this. Like, I live in Minnesota, and I watched a Love video, and it changed the way I skate. I put 60 millimeter, you know, that shit. I've heard it from every different state, you know?
I skate 54s. The 60s are a little too crazy. But
but that shit alone is, like, better than anything else. Like, I'm not a money man. Like, money comes and goes, but that shit stays, and, like, I don't know.
You ride with that shit.
Yeah, and I just think, like, when dudes say that, like, even being here, it's like, I appreciate you guys, like, knowing the history and at least, and, like, wanting to hear about it, you know, because that's the way I was, you know?
Is it weird to think that all of us were probably being born when you were doing all this, and we're sitting here interviewing you, asking you about it?
If I didn't have a 25-year-old daughter, it would be kind of weird, but I mean, it's weird, but I kind of really think you guys are awesome for wanting to do that, like, and wanting to pick my brain, like, because that's how I was, but I feel like that's lost a lot. People don't care, but if anyone's interested, I'm willing to talk. You know what I mean?
We're happy to have you here.
Yeah, like, if you guys, I mean, I was happy to be asked when I got the text, you know? I'm like, shit, I have a lot of shit to talk about. I hope they want to hear it, you know? I hope it's interesting enough for them to be, like, psyched and go home and think about it at night, you know? And, I mean, I could probably go on for more and more, because there's many layers to it, and it kind of just
the problem. There's so much
maybe
shit.
Maybe in the future there'll be a part 2.
Maybe me and Rick together. That'd be great.
Maybe, you know, there'll be another guest board soon. Maybe we could get some clips?
Guys,
Maybe.
Well.
Yeah. I told Angel I would at some point.
Famous last
I did,
words.
and I had all the intentions.
That's how they
but-
all get them, man.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know.
No, I hadn't. I have spots that no one knows about,
Oh,
like
we
that
out.
are waiting
Yeah,
for
let's
me.
get the pin.
But yeah, I gotta get this body into shape.
All right, Serge.
Skateboarding shape. Yeah.
Thank you,
that'll
man. We
do
appreciate
it.
your time
Man.
so much.
Yeah, man.
Serge
Yeah.
Warner.
This
Thank
was
you.
beautiful, man.
Yeah.
This is so much fun. Thank you.
Yeah,
Really, it
thanks
was
for coming
awesome.
on the show.
Really. Thank you, guys.